Hi all, and welcome to the Saudi Football Fanatics podcast channel. And first of all, I'm happy to announce to you that this is our 10th episode, and I'm here with András today. Hi, András.
Hi, Jula. Now, today is just the two of us, it seems, on this nice 10th appearance of this podcast.
Yeah, it's a nice round number, but again, we have a missing person who is currently having a strange holiday at a strange place. Actually, at the location of one of our Saudi national team's opponents in Thailand.
Yeah, he roams the wilderness currently in Thailand. He left the boat now, so we have to do this episode without Mark. We hope that he will return from this wonderful journey in great health, and it's not 100% sure that this will happen.
I have my personal doubts that his sort of scouting tour will be a success, but let's hope that he returns to us in one piece. But anyway,
I heard, Jula, that he is now considering to rowing on a river, actually filled with mangrove. So there is a great chance that, knowing Mark, that he will fall into the water and he will be a victim of certain any kind of creatures, lizards or swimming species with huge teeth who will mangle Mark's body into tiny pieces. So it would be a not so happy ending for his Saudi podcast career, probably.
Yeah, probably we have to already think about announcing an application for an open job to replace him.
So any of our listeners, feel free to apply.
But I think we already talked too much about Mark. He
okay.
Doesn't deserve this. So let's move to the most important topic, which is Saudi football. And as you may know, there is currently a winter break in the Russian Saudi League. Let's say that we can already conclude that the Saudi Football Federation is much more clever than, for example, the English colleagues in the Premier League, because while these stupid English keep playing football while international tournaments are going on, or all sort of holiday seasons are going on, or the transfer window is going on, the happy populace of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is having a break, at least in terms of football. But we do not hold a break with the podcast because we have a winter transfer window and a lot of speculation, and we have to talk about that. But before we go to the actual transfer window and the speculation and the not only the speculation, because we have actual news too, let's talk a little bit about the league itself, the table, how things stand, because it's a good time to take a breather and look at the league table, look at the expectations. Let's start with the top. It seems that Hilal is unstoppable, but as a dedicated Ronaldo fan, what do you think about this? Does Nassr have a chance?
Yeah, good question. And if I would need to answer, from the bottom of my heart, then I would say that yes. But watching this really unstoppable Al Hilal with a 7 points lead now at half time of the league, it's very difficult for me to imagine how we will catch up. And it's very sad to say, because honestly I'm satisfied with Al Nassr's performance. They are doing very well, and apart from one or two disappointing matches which they should have won, they did basically everything that they can, and these points can be lost by any teams in any top leagues. So that can happen. What is obviously, a bit much more disappointing is losing the derby against Al Hilal, the main opponent. We
Obviously.
already talked about that yet in a previous podcast, but that was a three-way match, so it was obviously not a big surprise because they are quite evenly matched. But Al Hilal doesn't seem to drop any points so far, and it is very terrifying for me as an Al Nassr fan, because 7 points is a lot. Even if we will play once more with Al Hilal, even if we win, then we also only reduce this difference for 4 points, and that still would require Al Hilal to drop points at least 2 matches. And so far, I just cannot see. They are very spectacular and very. The stability of the team is very impressive.
It's quite composed, I would say. That their biggest, let's say, marquee signing, the top name Neymar, is out injured probably for the entire season, and still. And it's nothing against Neymar Jr., but you do not miss him because the team is still so composed and so structured that it's a team.
Absolutely, and they have an advantage compared to Nasser, and the advantage is that they are very stable since I don't know, many years now. They were called as the best team in Asia, so we can all see that they have a very stable core, and they have a very stable teamwork and basic principles of how to do this. And Nasser is still in the building phase since the summer transfer. Hilal had also many summer transfers, but they could place these players upon their very stable core, and that is what we see now. That whenever a star in Al Nassr fails to show up, and it can happen even with the best of all, Ronaldo, it can happen, then the team is in trouble. In Hilal, we don't see this. We don't see this because even if a star is just missing out a match or does not show up or with a weaker performance, or then there is still a stable core and the mid-level players. Forgive me if I call it that way, but they are the most important part of the team, and that's why Hilal is winning. They do a very, very great job. And that's why they are keeping. But Al Nassr, I think, will have the chance for revenge, but probably not in this season. That is my current unfortunate assumption.
Interesting to see whether the winter break is stopping the invincibility of Al Hilal, because probably Hilal fans would have been happier to not catch a break and keep on winning the championship right away. But here we are with a 1.5 months long winter break, and after that, let me use the common phrase that anything can happen.
I assume you are happy though as an Al Hilal supporter, especially with the likes of Mitrovic, Malcolm, or Asia's best player Al Dafsari.
Absolutely, and it's great to see that Mitrovic is hitting the ground running. Really seems unstoppable, and probably that I keep following Mr. Mitrovic for quite a long time as a Newcastle supporter, but I don't think I have seen him play so good, such great performances as he's doing right now, because I think he's at his prime really, and you can see that on the results. He keeps scoring very important and vital goals to win matches, even if they have to do it late in the actual match. He's a real leader, so I actually like it. A very composed, great team play. We'll see how they can keep doing this. I think we have talked about the league enough. We could also talk about poor other teams like Al Ittihad or APA, but we will talk about Al Ittihad a little bit about the transfer speculations, and I think it's time to go to the transfer speculation part and the news. But let me start with some facts which I collected about it's difficult to say facts in connection with the transfer window, really, when you keep reading about the deal is closed and there is actually no deal in the end. You know the feeling, probably, what I mean. But some predictions are collected by newspapers about what to expect in the winter transfer window, because what we've seen last summer was a real exodus. And it's quite important to understand for the context of the winter transfer window that, there is this number of foreign players limit, which we have covered.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yes, we've covered this quite extensively and in separate episodes, which could be an obstacle for most of the clubs to sign any new players, because, as this news outlet I collected states, it was the Spanish newspaper AS, you probably know it, that most of the teams are already at their limit. So in order to sign more European stars, they have to sell first. And the other interesting thing I quote is that which obviously we cannot verify, that most of the teams probably have depleted their resources, which I mean that they already used their budget for the entire season, and that's why you might not expect new signings. But let me have a forward-looking good news. The summer transfer window is likely to be another mad and busy window, because the Saudi Football League decided to increase the limit of foreign players from 8 to 10, which means that at least 2 new star players could arrive to the top teams in the summer.
And this is, this is, well, what was not unexpected, and we already, our prognosis was that they were that the Saudi. This is a small success for our podcast, because in the previous episodes we already estimated that the Saudi Football Association will increase the number of foreign players to draw more and more Europeans into the league, and now this happens. So this is now not some speculation. This is a fact that they have decided to increase it to 10 non-Saudi players now from 8, and this will be applicable from the summer transfer window, which means that all the teams, and I mean here those teams, let's call them the big teams, which already used all of their free slots for non-European players, now they will all have the chance to sign their 2 players, which will make decisions in the summer window very exciting, because they not only have to investigate the market and select a good player which fits into their team, but they will have to do that with very due care, because they will only have to do 2 additional players for now. So they will have to choose very wisely.
Obviously, but one more point here to raise, I would like to raise, which could be interesting. Yes, it's good to say that we were right.
Sometimes it happens.
Yes. So I don't think it was a wild guess. It, as you said, it really could have been expected, and we did expect that.
Don't be that modest. I mean, still a success.
Yeah, it's our success, but thanks. We have to say thank you to the Saudi Football League to follow our guesses. But one interesting point here is whether the Asian Champions League will also follow, because there could already be some tension between teams that. The 2 leagues have different foreign player limits. I mean that the ACL, you can only field 6 players who are not of your nation, and there is also one restriction that one has to be from Asia. So
so it's 5+1. Let's call it that.
It's 5+1. So. It's interesting to see whether.
What do you think, Jula? May I ask for your opinion? Whether do you see that the Asia as a a higher football organization will also recognize the fact that the need for top quality players, maybe from outside the continent, is needed, and maybe they will follow the Saudi example just because one country, which is currently Saudi Arabia. I know that Qatar and the UAE and other are also trying to draw players into their league, but that's but I mean the volume of that is far from the Saudi leagues volumes at the moment. But still, there is Asia, and there is one country, Saudi Arabia, within Asia. Would Asia decide that they will also increase the number of foreign players as a limit, just because Saudi Arabia, but also considering the advantage that it will also increase Asia's football's quality, and may also enhance other countries to establish similar rules, and to increase overall quality. Do you think that this will happen, or this is very long shot?
Well, I would say that it obviously yes, and why I think is not only because of the reasons you stated, which I think are valid reasons in itself. I mean, what you mentioned about the increase of quality and drawing more attention to the Asian Champions League and more attendance, but also if you keep reading the news and let's not call them news, speculations about, for example, Al Nassr joining to the UEFA Champions League. I mean, if the Asian Association doesn't want to lose one of their, if not their best asset, the Saudi football, they probably have to consider raising the foreign player limits so that the Saudi teams are happy to stay in the Asian League. We'll see. But I would say,
I would agree, but I mean, it could be interpreted as a very one-sided decision by Asia if they would.
But if you consider the trends, even if the other nations you mentioned, the other countries you mentioned are behind the Saudi football, very far behind indeed. But the trends suggest that sooner rather than later, it may not only be Saudi Arabia that needs this decision. And also, if you think about the fact that the Asian Football Federation knows how these things work. I mean, if you remember, it was quite long ago, Australia, the qualification of Australia to the World Cups, they had their own Oceania group. And I don't remember exactly the age, but Australia joined the Asian Federation for the World Cup qualification. So what I mean here, that they already know that big nations like Australia could be tempted to join to them. So on the other hand, Saudi Arabia, the kingdom, could be tempted to join to Europe. I mean, it's also a long shot, but you know how these things work.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that there may be a counter lobby on that from the sides of Korean or Japanese teams and football federation, because they currently do not have that much influence, although they have still drawing players from the West, and then they have quite good teams, also supported by the fact of their performance in the Asian Cups, but still they currently don't have that much influence, and therefore their position would be weakened if the Asia would just. But if Asia would just allow, you know, Saudi teams to.
I get your point.
But yeah. Let's agree that we will see. We will see.
That's a great conclusion. At least if we don't make any predictions, we can't be false. So.
Oh, I mean, I want to make prediction because that's fair. So maybe you can make fun of me.
I would say that sooner rather than later they will increase the limit, because
I think this will not happen in the next 2-3 years. Only after that.
We'll see. I'm not so sure that it will take such a long time if the Saudi Football Federation keeps increasing the player limits.
At least now we will see who will be right.
One of us, surely.
Yeah. So moving forward, or I don't know.
Yeah, we should move to our original topics from where we started, is the winter transfer window. So we jumped a little bit too far forward to the summer transfer window, but let's roll back to the winter transfer window, where we still have this obstacle of the foreign player limit, where, let me just take one more comment. I don't think it's impossible to see any big movements, because if you remember about Ighalo's situation, who was a top star in his team, and he was replaced with world-class players. Foreign player for foreign player changes are still possible in the winter transfer window, but we should expect departures first. But what do you think about this?
Departures first. I mean, I must agree because of these limits, and also just because of the limits, to be honest. We will talk about later about rumors about 2 or 3 stars who wants to leave the Saudi Pro League. But apart from that topic, there will need to be departures in order to be signings as well. And that's only a question whether some Saudi clubs will let certain players leave, foreign players, so that in exchange for them they could sign other players, or there will be swap deals. There were some couple of rumors which we can talk about also later about swap deals, but as general conclusion, I would say that I would not expect any major activity during this January, to be honest. Reasons, what the reasons, basically you already summarized previously, that there is this limit, there is also the funding, and they are just, honestly, they're just concentrating on the summer and how to shape their teams for the next competition.
Well, still we can see that actually there was not much activity so far. Just to move to
maybe only one signing, Mo Adams moving from Al Shabab to Al Khalay, even earlier.
Yeah,
it's not even a regular player at the moment, so really not that much of it. I mean, only question for me is whether the smaller teams who have not yet used all their capacity to sign foreign players, whether the smaller teams or mid-table teams will be able to acquire, and that's a bit different, because I know it's Saudi Arabia, but they have financial obstacles as well, because they are not owned by PIF. Yeah, so the question is, but they may be able to sign some, not stars, but decent players from Europe. So that can be interesting. And for example, for those teams who are fighting relegation, this would be an option. So there will be some signings, but I don't expect that major ones.
Well, obviously we haven't seen major ones so far, but to be fair with the Saudi transfer window, I don't really think we have seen any major transfers so far, even in Europe. But correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I won't correct you.
So this time it's good to know that I probably are right. But so far,
but there is also the AFCON and the Asia Cup, which makes things difficult even to talk about with these stars, and also because European clubs who have seen their squads to shrink because of Asia and AFCON do not want to lose other players so that they can keep for the next 3-4 matches while AFCON and Asia Cup lasts. Even if these are domestic cup matches or league matches, they don't want to for the whole squad to disappear for 2 reasons: because of these African and Asian Cup, and then to influence of Saudi League. So
yeah, it's again great to emphasize that while the European clubs have to suffer during this period, the Saudi Football Federation is having a break, and Asian and African players can quite happily play in their own tournament because there is no interference with the interests of their home teams in Saudi Arabia.
Agreed.
Russian. Saudi League.
But let's move to the transfer rumors, because while we believe that there might not be too much activity, there are a lot of rumors to talk about. Mainly, my first point here is that I would like to raise to you is that almost half of Manchester United was in the news.
Okay, so maybe our first topic can be Manchester United.
Yeah. So as we see, everything is all right with Manchester United. The tactics keep working. They have just progressed from the FA Cup. The team is doing well in the Champions.
Based on the interviews of Erik ten Hag, everything's all right.
Yeah. So based on that, everything is all right. So it's strange to see that most of the team is wanted by a Saudi club. I mean, it's not strange to see that most of the team is wanted by Saudi clubs. But what do you think? Who can join? Who cannot? I think that the links with Bruno Fernandes, the captain of Manchester United, maybe are a little bit of a long shot.
But, no, I don't think so. I mean, that would look very bad, and I don't think that Bruno Fernandes should leave currently. Although personal opinion, he's not really. He's a great player, obviously. He's not really captain quality for me, at least. But he's still a captain of Manchester United. He will not leave amongst these, let's call it lightly, problems of Manchester United. And he's also stable team member, and Erik ten Hag trusts in Fernandes. So the other two players.
Obviously, I would be happy to see Mr. Fernandes in Saudi Arabia because he's a great player.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, answering your question, that's not the reality at the point. Other players can be. There Sancho mentioned. Now it's excluded from the.
Yeah, it's not quite clear that Sancho will not come to.
No, he decided to continue with Dortmund. So at least on loan. Now far from Erik ten Hag. So basically, he will have the chance to get back his former shine. Yeah, let's hope the best for him. But let's focus on the other two rumours, which have real possibility, I believe, and these are Casemiro and Varane, former Real Madrid players. Both of them won everything. Varane also on international level won the World Cup. So there is nothing that much to prove at this point. They are also now not stable team members for some reason.
In terms of Varane, we might see otherwise because recently he got back his spot in the first team, or at least I have the feeling that he got back his spot. But you never know what Mr. Ten Hag thinks the next match. So
yeah, and also don't know what happens when, for example, Martinez rejoins Manchester United squad. It did not seem to me in the last month that Varane is really a first option for Erik ten Hag. I don't need a reason why, because I think it's quite a better player than other. But yeah, that's not my decision. But still, Varane is. I don't think that's stable. And there were a couple of rumors that he doesn't feel well, etc. I don't know whether these are true or not. But for Varane, I can see proper reasons why he would join. Why he would join the Saudi Pro League, and as in the case of Casemiro, to be honest. Both were kind of injury prone, so also another reason for Manchester United to let them leave. And they, as mentioned, won everything, and the Saudi League could be a great next chapter for their career.
And also a welcome addition to most of the teams, because as we have seen, most of the big name signings, not all of them obviously, but most of them were attackers and offensive players, and both of the names you mentioned would boost the defensive capabilities of many of the teams massively.
Yeah, indeed. To move forward, it also seems that Gomez and Matip may be targeted. And interestingly, they may be targeted by Gerrard. I also want to emphasize that these are just rumors, but it would have I don't know. It would be interesting if Gerrard would talking to the head of these players.
Well, obviously, know that we can see that Liverpool is a champion continent, has a possibility to win the English Championship, and are very thin. Basically, they don't have defensive backup after a few injuries. I would be very surprised to see any of the Liverpool defenders to join to Saudi Arabia. I think there is a bigger possibility that one or two Manchester United players will jump ship and come to the Russian Saudi League.
But, no chance, no chance in January. That's for sure.
But if we are talking about Liverpool, there has been a sensational rumor that Mohamed Salah might not return to England from Egypt, but to go to...
That's a must topic in this podcast, obviously.
So there have been rumors that he's going to join Al Ittihad. So he's not flying back to Liverpool, but instead he uses another charter and goes to
I'm skeptical. He will not leave Liverpool in January. I don't see, and currently no top teams would have, as we discussed, the free slots to sign this player, this huge star, which could be one of the biggest names, also very much loved by the Arabic world. So, but maybe in the summer I can see this, but not in January, especially because Liverpool is now top contender for the league.
And not only the defense is thin now, and basically Liverpool is one of the teams hit by the hardest by the Asian and African Cup as well. So
yeah, indeed. And what about De Bruyne?
Well, it would be another sensational signing. The same issues could be raised as with Salah, but there is also one more issue, I think. It is his fitness level, because he has just returned from injury. I would be highly surprised to see him, he just got fit and transfers right away in the middle of another potential league victory. I'm even more skeptical than with Salah.
Yeah, and if I want to mention another big name, Luka Modric was also rumored to join Al Nassr in this summer. Now there were also rumors that they will join in January. I'm again highly skeptical, but that would be possible if Nassr would swap their player Aymeric Laporte to Real Madrid, who Real Madrid currently faces huge problems in the defense due to many injuries. Laporte would solve that problem, and Modric would solve many of Al Nassr's problem. I also don't see this happening, but this is currently also a rumor. But in the summer, it can happen.
But basically, I think the biggest problem at Al Nassr is defensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
mainly, but everything starts, I believe, from defensive midfield, and as Brozovic form was not the best in the current rounds of the league, and neither could any other midfielder support him that much. So I think between the Al Nassr's problem was the connection between these parts of the field. But honestly, as I mentioned, I don't see Al Nassr have that many problems. They just have time to play together.
It might be a wild guess, but I probably think that their offensive department is okay.
Yeah, I can see that. That's okay, but let's move forward for other names. It mentioned that Zielinski will also join Al Ahly. I mentioned this name because kind of similar to Modric, because Zielinski can really join during the summer. Obviously, they have the chance for that, also to sign him. But as Bobby Firmino wants out of Al Ahly based on recent rumors, there could also be some kind of vacancy in the limits. So yeah, that's also a possibility.
Well, if you're talking about Firmino, I think we had enough guesses about incomings, and we already emphasized that probably outgoings will be more likely. And there have been some hot rumors about departing players. Let's talk about them now. And let's start with Ballon d'Or winner, Karim Benzema. And let's move to Al Ittihad for a short time, as I already promised. We will talk about them. Basically, seeing the players they have signed during the summer, I think we can say they did shrewd business. If we just see the quality of the players they attracted. They were the reigning champions of the league, so I believe it's not a wild guess to say that none of us believed that we would have to talk about this, but it seems to me that they are falling apart, and there might be big problems, and the situation of Karim Benzema might signal this. But I will be happy to hear your opinion, because probably you know more about Benzema than me.
Yeah, but Benzema's situation is a bit difficult, I believe. He had a very good start, and actually, I will always emphasize this. He has very good numbers already at 9 goals, I believe, and 4 assists or something like that. No, 5 assists.
9 goals, yes. Yeah.
9 goals, 5 assists, and taking into account that he missed a lot of matches, this is a very great stat, and that's one of the problems. The missed matches. All the problems started at that time when Benzema injured, because apparently, if we can believe, the news, some supporters started to take on Benzema and started to criticize him that, okay, we signed this huge star, but we cannot see him play because of constant injuries. And then he came back and already an already bad-shaped Al Ittihad, who were on a huge decline, and he joined and could not turn back this wrong direction. Could not stay, and they stayed on this declining path even with Benzema. And now they are criticizing Benzema, and they had some confrontation, therefore, with supporters. And apparently, he does not feel well in this environment, and that's one of the main reasons why he wants to leave. And currently, if we can believe the rumors, so they have this problem with the club's current performance and the supporters' reaction, which are targeted currently at Benzema.
Well, it's interesting to see how this will sort itself.
But a bit, therefore, it's different than other names which popped up into the news, which is Henderson.
Henderson. Yeah. I've read. I sent you the article about the taxation situation if he wants to go back to England, but probably we shouldn't talk about tax issues here first. But
that's a huge issue. I mean, they know that if they leave the league before their contract expires, they will have to pay a lot of money. So that's one issue, obviously. Why they will stay here. But I just wanted to mention Henderson because their reasons are a bit different than Benzema, because Henderson actually doesn't feel well because of the club's performance and lack of supporters. Yeah,
homesickness, isn't he?
Maybe yes. But
maybe these are just newspaper guesses, but it seems to me, reading between the lines, that he just doesn't feel himself very well in the kingdom, which is odd, but. And these sort of people always crawl up. I don't know from where, but if there is some sort of news, they always say, haha, the kingdom is not the right place to go. But let me just laugh at them because, have you ever heard of players not feeling well in a new team? Wow. Every second player is not feeling well in his new team. So basically, if you only read about Henderson and maybe Firmino and maybe Benzema, 3 new signings, and we have seen that, let me say, hundreds of players have joined the Saudi League, which is not an exaggeration, because if you followed our transfer-related episodes, basically some of the teams have bought an entire new player base for themselves, not only for the first team, but for the entire squad was replaced. So hundreds of players joined the league, and a few of them don't feel very well, and the haters already.
Wow, what a surprise!
Yes. It's ridiculous. Go away, haters.
I mean, Henderson has every right to not feel well, but it can happen with any other players around the world. Yeah, to join. And I get your point, and
that we don't know the background, but also we see Henderson. He should be a leader, and instead of not feeling well, show example and
Yeah, I don't like it, but it happened before, and then it will happen also. But he's a regular player, not like, for example, Firmino, who apparently lost his place in the first 11. Now he's linked to Fulham to join back Premier League. But also, again, this whole podcast is about rumours, so don't take it too seriously. But for Firmino, he has more reasons, I believe, because apart from maybe not feeling well, I don't know whether it's true or not, he also had a lack of matches in the last month. So
yeah, interesting to see. Also an option for him to fight for his place because his team is doing well. So
yeah. And there's a last name, if I may mention, because it was interesting. I don't know whether you have seen the video of Dybala, which went viral on Twitter, or currently named as X. He mentioned that just 2 words: Forza Al Nasser.
well, I haven't seen this, but what I have seen, that Dybala's name is connected to almost each of the Premier League clubs. So basically,
yeah, but
I'm not surprised to see his name pop up in connection with other leagues. But yes, this is quite a strong commitment.
I have to mention that this is also a huge slap in the face for all those who thought that Dybala felt that Ronaldo was stealing the show from him when they joined time at Juventus. It doesn't seem so. Otherwise, why would he portray something like that?
Yeah, quite. It would be a strange behavior. Well, any other rumors? Because I think we have covered most of the big ones.
There are many which you can read in the newspaper. It's not an exhaustive list, but you can read about Luis Alberto from Lazio to be able to move. Thomas Partey from Arsenal. Kimpembe currently suffering from Achilles injury from PSG. Let's see, why this happens. Some of them seems to me valid targets. Some of them are just I'm in a speculation of certain newspapers and journalists. Yeah, clickbait. But we will expect that this whole story, especially in the involvement of Saudi football now in the European one, there will be a lot of speculations, and most of them will be still clickbait.
Let's see where we will be in a few weeks' time, because as I mentioned, even the European transfer windows are quite silent so far. So I expect that there will be some action, but maybe a little bit later.
As mentioned, I don't expect. I expect that the mid-level or smaller teams will get some reinforcements.
Probably Abha needs some reinforcements to get back on track. Just to mention one, especially they need defensive reinforcements. If I see their goal difference, it's quite not good.
Doesn't look good. Yeah. No, we don't want to joke. We don't want to joke about Abha because we love that team. Just it was our fault. Our fault that in our previous podcast we were talking about them because they have a spectacular form, and now that they are not, we have to mention that we were wrong on that part. But Abha will resurrect. You will see.
Yeah, I think so, and we will be the happiest persons on earth to see that, because then we were right again.
Okay, Gyula, couple of thoughts about Asia Cup. Maybe it is important to mention that we will cover Asia Cup in our next episodes and the one after that, and we will look at Saudi Arabia's national team, how they succeed in this cup. Previously, I think it's only important to know that they are in the group of Thailand, Kyrgyzstan, and Oman, and I believe Saudi Arabia is expected to win this group. But obviously, we sent out Mark to Thailand to investigate the football environment in that country, to analyze the weaknesses, and then we can let Mancini and the team know about that.
Yeah. First of all, I'm a bit disappointed to hear that instead of investigating the football culture, Mark is investigating the dangerous species and animals of Thailand. But put jokes aside, I fully expect the kingdom to progress from this group, and I think I'm not the only one. Basically, this is a must-win group for them, and all the big names are there. So I don't see why they couldn't progress far. I hope they will. We hope they will.
We hope, and it will happen with the likes of Al Dafsari, Hassan Kadesh, Garib, a very stable defender, a very stable defense. It's enough, I believe, to mention Hassan Al Tambakti, Bulaihi. So, or even with forwards like Burai Khan. I don't really see that Saudi Arabia will not win this group.
Yeah, and to add to that, some of them are in great form. I mean, Aburaikan is the player who, the reason why Firmino is not playing, right? So,
Yep.
Just not forget this, that some of the big names are already in quite a good form. So the big question for me is whether the team is ready. I mean, whether Mancini had the time to gear the team, and now that they, can they perform as a unit? But we will see that. I hope that they will win. They have every chance.
I don't want to sound overly confident, because honestly, the preseason matches and the friendlies before that I don't feel to be entitled to be confident, because they were kind of tragic football matches. I mean, unfortunately, Saudi Arabia was not performing well, but all those matches obviously were used by Mancini to discover the most effective formation, the best players in his system, and I trust Mancini that he had enough time to do that now, and that in the Asia Cup, Saudi Arabia will go as much as can. I would expect that the quarter final would be a great result. A semi-final is also not impossible, but maybe we will need a great draw for that, because we don't want to play too early with the likes of South Korea, for example.
Yeah, obviously, but you know the saying that these preparation matches amount to nothing. So
yeah, that's true. I just wanted to. I don't want to sound overly confident because of that. But I'm confident enough to say that Saudi Arabia will win this cup, and you may want to make jokes about that in our next episode.
Yeah, talking about our next episode, when we will meet again, hopefully with a surviving Mark as well. We will be wiser and know the results. But if there are no other topics, I would just close this meeting. And thanks everyone for listening to us. But Andreas, do you have anything else to talk about that before I just aggressively close this?
No, not really. Thank you everyone who listened to this episode as well, and we will keep continuing, that's for sure. Yeah, and really
probably believe that we have already talked too much about the topics we raised, so it's time for us to stop. Thank you for
and also, you if you just don't forget to mention that if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise either on Facebook, Instagram, or private messages, and we will guarantee that we will answer it, and to the best of our knowledge, in our next episode.
Yeah, thank you for interrupting me once again, but let me close now. So thanks everyone for listening to us and joining us, and please follow us on Spotify, but we are also available on Instagram and Facebook, as we have mentioned in each of our episodes. So cheers everyone, see you next time, bye.